And you've just heard Fallback, taken from the Sweetheart Revue's album Good News, Bad News, which was released this week. And I'm delighted to be joined by Gerard Sampaio from the band Now. Hello, Gerard.
Good morning. How's it going?
All right, thanks. Okay. Before we talk about the album, can you tell us a bit about the Sweetheart Revue and its history?
Well, I think you summed it up best when you called it Scotland's best kept secret, which was like a great compliment for our music and a terrible criticism of our public relations, which we've never been much good at. It just started back in like 2006, and I'd been living in London for a while, and I moved back, and then I met a bunch of musicians and had friends in the Attic Lights, and I just kind of we were also having parties and guitars would come out, and then I'd play a couple of my songs, and those boys everyone was all saying, oh, you should do something, and then eventually I just thought, God, I've got enough people. I borrowed half Attic Lights, and asked Jen, who plays cello and piano and other things, and Liam, who plays bass, to join us, and we just had a lot of fun, really, and it was just like we were all in a bit of a kind of country phase at the time, and I just thought, well, you know, and Rachel, then Mackenzie, now Alison, who also sang with BMX Bandits. So she was with us, and I just had the sort of Graham Parsons, Emily Harris kind of dream, and I thought, well, Tim plays the pedal steel and Jen plays the cello, and maybe that would be a lovely sort of interaction. And then we played first gig was in a field at Muckfest, which was a kind of homemade music festival. And then we kind of carried on from there very slowly, and Attic Lights got a deal, and so they all dropped out. So we had a big hiatus then, and then we got Moisha in to play drums, and then we've kind of been going sort of unsteadily since then. We've all got jobs and kids. I think we've got like 12 kids between us as a band, and so it's, you know, it's just getting together once a week is hard. And Jack and Liam are both directors. Well, Liam's now more producing for television, so they're away a lot, so it's just non-negotiable, you know. It's just like, oh, we've got no Jack for 3 weeks or whatever. But you know, when it did become a drag at times, but just trying to organize and always failing, you know. But then eventually we've got into a bit more of a rhythm, and I found just making an album, it's just, you need that focus, especially if you're not consistent enough that you can really reliably book gigs years in advance or whatever. Then, you know, recording was a kind of, well, not easier option, but I just felt like we could achieve, you know, something. So we eventually made an album about 4 years ago called what was it called again? The Silence and the Common Sense. That stupidly long title for you, but anyway. And that was really good fun. And then, you know, we're continuing on. I wrote some new songs, and you know, we enjoyed that process. And then 2019, I'd had headaches for 6 months or something, and I was losing, my left arm was kind of numb and stuff, and then eventually they sent me for a scan, and that showed things in my brain, basically. And it turns out I have a super rare tumour called diffuse leptomeningeal gliomeuronal tumour. Wow. Which basically means it's all over the place, and they don't really know much about it, but it's only been classified for like 4 years or something, and so actually finding a single person with the same adult, there's not lots, but there are a few kids with it, but it's ultra rare, which means there's just no research on it, which also means that some treatments work surprisingly well. Ones that they expect to work don't, and other ones have worked. So I'm still here, which I wasn't expected to be, 18 months ago. So as it's documented thoroughly on the new album, with one song that's really sort of a documentary, I think, positive, and also the title song, Good News, Bad News. It's just kind of goes through some of the stages of finding out what I've got and just the sort of feelings around it. And so yeah, it was great. Great for material though. That's the thing. So suddenly I was also sitting there just thinking, I'm just this middle-aged, middle-class white guy with a lovely family and a nice flat, and you kind of think, well, what have I really got to say, But hang on one sec. Done. I'm shouting at my. There we go. Sorry, there's an alarm going off there in the background. Yes, but having a terminal diagnosis suddenly made me much more interesting and gave me much more, I don't know, original things to say. I mean, I can't think of anyone. I'm sure there have been people who have written about this kind of thing, but none of my sort of heroes. I can't think of too many songs that just kind of take it on. But I mean, that's been the best thing for me, is just to be honest and frank about things.
Because you'd said to me that there was kind of some of the songs you had written before you had your diagnosis, and then there was others which came afterwards, and you decided that both would be included on the album. Yeah,
so I didn't have to write way more.
Oh, I see.
It's a short album at that. Yeah, I thought, well, we'd had a few songs that we'd been playing for previous year or something. Only played them live a handful of times. Then, of course, lockdown. So, yeah, so I thought those songs should get a fair outing, and it does give it a nice sort of real chronological sort of feel. So on the LP, it will be side A is just songs about relationships and other things, and then side B kind of eases into songs about my condition and stuff around that. I even rewrote a song called How Deep It Goes, which didn't actually feature on the last album, so we kind of thought we should do it, but it felt really kind of out of date. So I just rewrote the verses and we recorded it. And yeah, it was supposed to be called How Deep It Goes Part 2 or something, but we never got around to that. So yeah, yeah, kind of ranging from sort of slightly more upbeat numbers and then into the kind of like the really serious stuff, kind of talking about kids and stuff like that, or talking to my kids publicly, which still I find kind of ethically dubious. But it's too good a song not to include, even if it's like really personal for them more than me in a way. But yeah, it's funny because they catch you out. You write a song and it first couple of times I played it with the band, the band were in tears, and I, and then I end up getting upset and stuff, and then you kind of rehearse it a million times, and you sort of lose that direct connection with what it's about and where it came from. Mm-hmm. But then sometimes it just catches you out, and certainly like playing songs live has been lovely, but yeah, kind of hard at the same time, especially when everyone's listening, because we're used to playing gigs in pubs and stuff, and it'd be like, you're just hearing people at the bar and chatter, but when you're playing, like we played at the CCA and there's a couple of hundred people and nobody's talking, you're suddenly sort of slightly just feeling like you should be careful what you wish for, but it was great playing them, and it was a great gig and a great sort of atmosphere and stuff. So
yeah, I was going to ask you about that, about playing live at the CCA, where it was a very special evening, but I was wondering how it was for you, where you're literally the center of attention. These songs are written, songwriting is a kind of lonely thing, isn't it? At times, yeah. And suddenly it's out there, and of course with the album now being available for people, how do you view everything?
I hope the album's available for people, because the date keeps shifting, but let's stay optimistic. Okay. Yeah, it's great. Like I warned my wife was kind of very like, you've got to warn the family. Like you, meaning more my siblings and stuff. And the reason it was a great night, and there was loads of sort of cheering and applause because there was about 20 family members in the room, and they're loud. But yeah, I was aware that it could be, or it would be hard for them, but I think they all really appreciated it, and it was great just to get. I mean, I've had so much support and love, and that's partly what couple of the songs are about. Is that it's a terrible situation, but it's not. Things come out of it, which sort of there is a positive side to it, which is kind of vaguely in the song "Positive" that I wrote, but which might seem very bleak, but I think there is some positive stuff. Just people are much more demonstrative about their feelings about you and so on, and so I've never felt so close to people. It's amazing, and yeah, it's good to sort of, I don't know, as well. I'm on all these kind of like forums on Facebook with fellow brain tumor or spinal cord tumor or both sort of people on it, and it's a real mixture of kind of just simple tips for health or whatever, but then a lot of people just venting about how they feel and about feeling lonely and so on. So I kind of hope that I can get it. Well, I'm just going to post it all over the groups, but hopefully people from not dissimilar situations can hear the songs and kind of connect a little bit, because I just know from experience it makes a huge. People can be incredibly generous and nice and kind and unafraid to talk to you and ask questions and so on, but there's nothing quite like talking to someone who is facing the same thing, basically.
Yeah.
And you just have an instant connection. So it's been good for that. Or it will be good for that.
In terms of music being something that is, I mean, has it helped? Is that impossible to say? Helped you?
It's definitely helped, because I think, like I said, having the focus of doing an album means that you do get together, and my situation has made it, has given everyone a little bit of a kick up the arse in terms of just trying their best to be there and to kind of be involved, and they have, it's been great, and just I mean, the band has, I mean, this, becoming middle-aged, living as a middle-aged person, especially a male, you're not very good at like keeping in touch with people or making arrangements and stuff like that. And my wife's so the opposite. So she's so social and just sort of makes 2 new friends a year. But I don't work like that, and I think a lot of people don't. And so just having 6 people in the band, sometimes being 7 people in the band or 8, depending on who's there, just means having a social life.
Yeah.
We went away not so long ago, had a wee retreat in a country house, not to even record anything, just to have fun hanging out. My wife organised that. It was great, and we've done that before for recording. And I think we probably at one stage at the ratio of like practices versus meals out was kind of getting a bit ridiculous. It's like, should we have a practice in November? Oh, I thought, we'll have Christmas dinner, we'll organise that.
Yeah.
But it's nice because we're all really close. It's just, we were all friends with someone beforehand, but now I feel like that's completely blurred into just the Sweetheart Revue and who we are. Everyone's always included, and it's just a nice, lovely band to be in, and lovely to know that everyone really appreciates it. For a long time, I kind of felt like they tolerated it. Well, me, and being very controlling, and partly out of inexperience, I think. I was never in any bands till this one, and I was 31 when I started or something, and so I don't. I feel I'm a lot better at kind of collaborating now, and I've also realised that instead of like if someone plays something, this is a wee tip for anyone fronting a band who wants to keep their friends. Um, if someone plays something that you don't like, just say nothing, and they'll forget. And if they do something good, say it's amazing, and remember it, and record it, and then play it back to them, and then that's how you get what you want without alienating everyone. Sorry, guys, I know you're probably aware of that anyway, but yeah, there's a better approach than just trying to micromanage everything, you know, and accept actually what I hear in my head. It might be the right place for something, but there's maybe a completely different way of approaching that in terms of what the guitar is going to play, or the strings, or whatever.
But you must be doing something right, because it's a great band, and you know, musician. I always kind of thought of it as, yes, I kept best kept secret, but also a bit of a super group, because you had all these people coming in who play with other bands, you know, and coming together, and you could see at the CCA just how much you all enjoyed playing, you know, with each other, and you also had the brass section, which you could see, you know, everyone loved that as well. You could see it on people.
It was amazing. Yeah, the brass boys, they were great. We'd never met them until the night before, and basically J.P. Berry has this big band of sort of 22-piece brass band playing old classics, and it's amazing. And I took some pictures for them or something, so he owed me a favor, and he came in and brought in a trumpet player to the studio, and I'd given him the songs, and he had basically stayed up late the night before and just written the parts out. And these guys, you know, they're all proper musicians, so they can just read things off. And oh God, I hope I get his name right. Gordon Kyle, yeah, was the amazing trumpet player, and he plays the solo on Good News, Bad News. And I was in the studio when we were recording. I went into the live room with them, and he, so I was just kind of thinking, oh, we'll just get him to ad lib something or whatever. But JP had come in with sheet music, and including the solo, which is amazing because so many little trills and little lovely ends of notes. But they were all, he wrote them out, like they were all there. And I was just amazed by what he'd written, and actually it's like, I was so emotional. The first time I heard it, I was like, oh, that's incredible. And I had no idea that was going to sort of come out. And yeah, it just gave the album a lift. But yeah, the gig, we kind of knew, you know, that like the song we played first had the horns coming in halfway through, and we just thought that'd give everything an amazing lift at the start, and it certainly did. And we also had Tim Davidson playing pedal steel, and who's really, really good. And he was amazing when he started playing with us right at the start. But I feel like I used to kind of like recording on the first album of the pedal steel, but he would play loads of different takes, and I would sort of piece them together. But he's got a bit more. He was recording remotely, so he was kind of more in control. But I think he just really wanted to kind of get a part that he was happy with and to work through it until he had that whole section sort of covered, and which was completely fair enough. And that's what we ended up with, because he could now really manipulate that note by note, which on a pedal, I mean, if you ever see, it's like when you sit and look at what he's doing with his, you know, hands and feet, it's remarkable.
Yeah, it's that equivalent of almost kind of rubbing your tummy and patting your head, but you know, time it's an incredible thing to see.
Yeah. I think he just sits there and plays it all the time at home. So yeah.
So as you say, you hope that the album is out.
Yes. on last night from Glasgow.
Yep, exactly. Having it then on the turntables of strangers and all that kind of thing, does that change the way you think about the songs?
No, it's just sort of just makes you happy and proud, you know. yeah, you know, so many when we're starting and even, you know, just sort of chugging along, you'd get, the only feedback you'd get would be friends and family who you just don't trust.
Yeah.
So it's amazing when you just get people coming out of the woodwork and getting in touch and saying, you know, something really moved them, or they just love whatever song. No, it makes me want to do more. You know, I just want to do more. I almost want to do more recording than writing. But when you've written about your own demise, it's like, I don't know what the next album would be. Still Here. Not Dead Yet. Oh, that was a good cover. Not Dark Yet by Bob Dylan. That'd be good. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was thinking actually an album of covers would be quite good. I don't know how we democratically do that though, to ensure that it was basically just mostly Bill Callahan covers.
Yeah, just see, that's where your control is coming back in again.
I could make it a solo project with all the same musicians. Yeah, it's been done.
Absolutely. Well, I for one would love to hear that. Absolutely. Gerard, thanks so much for taking the time to have a chat with me today. I appreciate it so much.
I hope it was all okay. I've got a very poor short-term memory, so I was kind of like forgetting what the question was halfway through. I was getting to the end, I'm like, no idea what.
It all made sense to me. No worries at all. And this is the Sweetheart Revue and Sister and Brother.